Welcome to the D-Tycoon Show, Community Unity Now. I'm Bill Morton, and I'm the president of the Rogers Park Chamber of Commerce. I'm also running for 49th Ward Committeeman. A lot of people ask why the show is called D-Tycoon. It's because Catherine Brown D-Tycoon originally had the show, and she ran for mayor. Yeah. And I ran for alderman in the 49th Ward. So we're both in the municipal election, and we both were write-ins. We became write-ins because our petitions were challenged, and we became great friends.
Oh, great.
So she invited Trudy Leung and I, who you know, to host a show last time around for 12 episodes. Now we're on our second 12 episodes.
Oh, fantastic.
Very
Thank
good.
you for hosting me.
Of course, it's my pleasure.
Thank you.
I'd like to introduce everyone to Ezz Masri of One Voice on Campus. Welcome, Ez.
Thank you. Thank you.
How do you do?
Good.
I want to start by just kind of showing you the pledge card they have here. He has here. This is the logo, and you can find them at ovcampus.org/campus. Now, Ez is going to explain to us what this is all about, what the organization is all about. But first I want to say, I did go to a One Voice meeting at Northeastern Illinois University.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes.
Great.
Trudy and I we went to it, and we checked out, and we wanted to videotape it, but they said no videotaping.
Oh, okay.
We don't want to release our identities. Then later on, you became a guest with Trudy on WZRD 88.3 FM.
Correct. Yes.
The Wizard.
Yeah, the Wizard.
Northeastern
Yes,
Illinois
I
University.
did. Yes, thank you.
So now you're here with me, and Trudy is over there. So let's start with the mission of the organization.
Yes.
And how you became involved with it.
Well, the mission of the organization, One Voice Movement, came to exist roughly in 2002, 2003, beginning of 2003. And it came in response to the failure of the Camp David negotiation between Chairman Yasser Arafat back then and Prime Minister Ehud Barak. So people who love Israel, love Palestine, and interested in ending the conflict from all around the world decided that there need to be a grassroots organization working in both Israel and Palestine to prepare the ground in both nations for a solution to the century-old Israeli-Palestinian conflict.
Right.
So the theory was two nationalist, centrist, pragmatic, moderate groups, movement, both in Israel and Palestine, to prepare for a two-state solution.
A two-state solution of peace.
Of peace, yeah. And I became involved with the movement in November 2006. So almost 13, going on 14 years.
November 2006.
Yeah, in Gaza.
In Gaza.
Yeah, I was back then in Gaza. I just had finished my education from NEIU. I did my master's in conflict resolution, was recruited by the American International School, was working there, and also was doing work with the Palestinian Foreign Ministry. And that's how I became involved with One Voice Movement, because it was one of the organizations that worked on Israel-Palestine peace, and I was working for the Palestinian Ministry, in particular the Foreign Ministry, the peace sector.
Excellent. So both nations, Israel and Palestine, what was the critical thing that formed this organization for peace for both nations?
Well, I mean, the urgent need for this organization was the fact that work needs to be done on a grassroots level in Israel and Palestine, because the two-state solution, which is the doable solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, needs work to be done in both society, in Israel and in Palestine. Because yes, the majority of both nations agree for a two-state solution, but when it comes to details about the two-state solution and what it involves to materialize the two-state solution, here comes the problem in between the two nations. Because Jews and Palestinians are really entrenched and committed to their existence in that part of the world between the River Jordan and the Mediterranean. They see it as their homeland, and they love it. and they're willing to sacrifice the dearest they have in order to stay there and to be sovereign and to have a state and to practice their national sovereignty in their own state. So that said, the Israelis have their problem with the two-state solution, and the Palestinians have their problem with the two-state solution. And these are challenges.
Right.
So One Voice is there to bridge that gap in between the two nations. So we are a solution-oriented organization. We're pragmatic, we're centrist, we're pro-solution.
Pro-solution. So tell me about the solutions.
The solution for the Israeli-Palestinian conflict that raged for the past almost 100 years is negotiation between the PLO and the State of Israel, leading to ending the occupation and solving the final status negotiation files. Those are Jerusalem, borders, refugees, security, national resources. So they need to agree on these files in order for the two-state solution to materialize.
So sharing of resources, sharing responsibility for security.
Yeah.
And the whole thing.
Yeah, Jerusalem, they have to divide Jerusalem between themselves. They have to draw the borders between both nations, and hopefully based on the 1967 borders. So that's the 6 Days War. So we're talking about 22%. That is the West Bank and Gaza. So we're talking about the Palestinians. So the formula is like this. Land for peace.
Okay.
Israel gives land, Israel gets peace. So that's the formula for ending this conflict. Israel needs to give back the occupied territory for the Palestinians to be able to practice national self-determinations and have a sovereign state next to the State of Israel. That needs negotiations, either direct negotiation, bilateral negotiations, or a third party to be involved to do the negotiations, and that's what have been done for the past almost 20 years. The United States have been assuming the role of facilitator of the negotiations.
Well, things have changed in the United States recently.
Definitely.
So what are we going to do about that?
Well, things change in the United States, correct. We have now an administration different than that of previous administrations. Mainly speaking, this administration is not in line with the two-state solution. They don't speak about it in a strong way and in a very definitive way. We have been hearing stuff about the deal of the century. We saw things that are viewed against the Palestinians and in favor of Israel. For example, President Trump unilateral decision to take Jerusalem off the negotiation table and to allocate it to Israel as their capital. Also moving the United States embassy from Jerusalem, from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem as a sign of sovereignty for Israel. Also closing the PLO office, also shutting down aids to the Palestinians when it comes to UNRWA schools and medical health centers, and also passing out laws in Congress that jeopardizes funding from the United States to the Palestinian Authority, mainly speaking about the law that redefines terrorism and receiving funds, and how is that jeopardized the Palestinian Authority from being able to receive funds from the U.S., in particular for security forces of the PLO, the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank, and that will lead almost to chaos and losing the security in the West Bank. And so that's dangerous. So many things this administration had done that are not conducive to peace.
So when you have someone that's the president, that's bigger than you politically, than your organization, that they're supposed to be the third party mediator that changed his mind. It looks unfairly in my viewpoint. When you have such political opposition, how to overcome it?
Well, we go grassroots. So this is us, One Voice on campus. We are currently in 6 campuses in the greater Chicago area. And the students in Roosevelt University took the lead and they said that we want to engage our U.S. elected representatives. I told them, what do you have in mind? They said, we want to write a congressional letter, okay, and tell them how we feel about Israel annexing the Palestinian lands around the Dead Sea and also around the Jordan Valley. And also we want our representative to push for the resumption of the peace negotiation between Israel and Palestine. So this is their position, the students, okay? And I have, they started already in Roosevelt. So I have very nice pictures of them signing students for this. And we have actually the names of the congressmen ready to go here, okay? And with a peel-off sticker, okay?
So you've got all the
yes.
representatives.
Yes, sir, okay?
Okay.
So we are going to do that, and then we're going to have phone booth. We're going to have a movie screening about the danger of annexation. We're going to bring Israeli or Jewish leaders, Palestinian leaders on campus to speak to the students. We're going to, in the end, we're going to mail these in the end of November to the congressmen, congresswomen, and then we are going to book time to go have a student delegation to go talk to the congressmen, congresswomen, and tell them what One Voice on Campus does in support for peace between Israel and Palestine.
And you're going for every congressman, congresswoman in the entire United States.
What we're doing this, right, we're starting this in Chicago. We took the lead in Chicago, okay, but One Voice on Campus is a national program, so we are represented in D.C., Washington, D.C. We are represented in Boston. We are also represented in New York, so we work in 4 regions. So Chicago took the lead on this, and if other campuses like to follow, they're more than welcome.
That's wonderful. And this is a letter to U.S. representatives. I tried to zoom it in, but didn't work that time.
Yeah.
A declaration to annex the Jordan Valley. And this says One Voice on Campus, Roosevelt University.
Yeah, so we have Roosevelt, we have the University of Chicago on, we have also DePaul University, we have North Park University, we have Loyola University, and we have Northeastern Illinois University. Yes.
Great, great. And I want to get. I'm involved in Northeastern Illinois University.
Great.
We do very little with North Park, but I want to get more involved in that. And of course, Loyola University, their Water Tower campus is downtown, and their Rogers Park campus is their lakefront camp's in Rogers Park.
Yeah, that's where I go. The Rogers, it's a beautiful campus.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, so I'm very familiar with the Lakeshore campus.
Yeah, right on the lake.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're the senior regional director of the Midwest.
Yes.
So tell me about the structure and organization of the organization.
One Voice movement is an international organization. So you have One Voice on Campus. It's the flagship program of the movement here in America. And as I told you, we are in 4 regions. We recruit, we organize, we train, and then the students establish chapters, and then each chapter will have their action plan for the semester planned. So, and then they will follow. They will do movie screening, they will do tabling, they bring speakers, they do cultural night. We are doing a cultural night, joint one, North Park University and Northeastern in December this year.
Great.
Yeah, and so that's One Voice on Campus. And also we do tours. We bring Israeli and Palestinian activists to campus. Last year we did that tour nationally. So this is the type of stuff that we do in One Voice on Campus. And of course, we do campaigns like this. We did 2 previous campaigns like this one. We did the one with postcards that addresses actually the final status negotiation issues, okay? And we also sent those to congressmen, congresswomen last year. And prior to that, like 2 years ago, we did also a campaign that targeted the White House and the State Department, encouraging them to work hard for peace between Israel and Palestine. So that's One Voice on Campus. And we have also One Voice movement in England.
Okay.
And they focus more with the college, high school students. We focus with college students. They focus with high school students. And then we have our regional partner in Israel and in Palestine. So we have 2 nationalist, pragmatic, solution-oriented organizations, and those are our partners in Israel and Palestine. In Israel, Darkeno, which means our path, and they consider themselves to be home of the moderate in Israel, and actually it's one of the biggest grassroots organizations in Israel, and headed by Pauli Brinstein. And then we have Zimam, Palestine, in the Gaza Strip and in the West Bank, headed by Abdullah Hamarsha, and it's also home of the moderates in Palestine.
So in this organization, I went to the meeting, and there was one in Israeli, there's one Palestinian, and they were speaking, and there were other ones in there, but there were two main speakers at Northeastern Illinois University. Is there exactly equal contributions and participation from both nations, or is it more one way or another?
No, so participation it's from both nations, from both Israelis, Jews, and Arabs, okay? So this is about ending the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, so it involves Israelis, involves Palestinians, involves Arabs, involves Muslims, involves Jews, okay? So it's very diverse, okay? Like, for example, One Voice on campus, we have, activists who are not even Palestinians or Jews or even Israelis, okay? They are white American or Indian or Mexicans or from Russia, okay? But they are conflict resolution oriented, they're pragmatic, they study political science, they study international relations, they want to get a sense of working with the international movement, so we are very diverse, yeah.
That's great. And so what kind of organization is this, and what kind of funding do you receive, and where? From where?
Okay, also funding is very diverse, and add to that, funding is very transparent.
Okay.
Meaning that every year we publish on our website, and also we publish a book that includes every dollar that comes into the organization, either from private individuals, either from just private individuals like you and me, or from maybe government even institutions, okay, or from maybe private foundations. But the money that comes in is very diverse, and actually we have people who work full-time, okay, in order to write grants and do outreach, so that's their department. Yeah.
We mentioned, we were talking about the political opposition with the U.S. presidency. What about other political opposition worldwide? Is there any? Do you have friends? Is there opposition? What is the political climate worldwide?
So on the international arena, when we talk about the UN, for example, and in the United Nations, there is the General Assembly. And in the General Assembly, there are almost maybe 194 countries. From those 194 countries, which are all the countries on Earth, around 140 countries recognize the two-state solution.
Okay.
And recognizes Palestine as a state on the 1967 borders. So out of 194, we have 140, so 140 in favor, and 50 also are not the same. So some are, the other 50, okay, includes America, for example. Okay, America is in favor of two-state solution, okay, but America did not recognize the state of Palestine yet.
Right.
Okay, Canada did not recognize the state of Palestine yet. Most of Western European countries did not recognize Palestine yet. Okay, so out of 194, there is 140 that recognize. So I think that's more than 2/3 of the majority. Yeah.
Well, we're not there to the solution yet, and we've been working on this since 2002 with this organization. What needs to happen to create the two-state solution that you're looking for?
There is two ways for this. There is top bottom and bottom top. Okay. So top bottom, we're talking about governments. We're talking about elected representatives who have who are decision makers. Okay. So and the other track is bottom up, is grassroots. Okay. Organizations like One Voice and others who are working to bridge the gap between Israel and Palestine. So the grassroots they can do their work. They design programs, initiatives in support of their goal, but also we need government officials, okay, to be decisive and also to have concern for time. because, for example, this in 2000, during the Taba negotiation, after the failure of the Camp David negotiations, the negotiators were very close to strike a deal and all those final status negotiations files.
Right.
But back then, Israel has to go into election, and we see a leadership change between Ehud Barak back then, and Eric Sharon became a president, and then the peace process stopped. And then in 2008, we have the offer of Ehud Olmert to Abu Mazen. He showed him a map and he told him, let's sign a deal, okay? But then Ehud Olmert, his scandal came out, and then he had to be removed. He was put in prison, and then we have another president.
So the deal almost happened.
Twice.
Yeah.
Twice almost happened, okay? So after the failure of Camp David negotiation between Ehud Barak and Yasser Arafat in 2000, sponsorship by President Bill Clinton back then, we had two encounters. The first one happened immediately in Taba in Egypt by the Red Sea, and they almost signed. They were very close, okay? But then they didn't have time. Why? Because political conditions in Israel were not conducive. And then in 2008, also, they offered the Israeli, the Palestinians were excited, okay? But then Olmert was imprisoned, and then Benjamin Netanyahu came in. Now, if you know about Benjamin Netanyahu, and if you read his book, for example, Nation Under the Sun, okay? You understand that Netanyahu has his reservations on the two-state solution, okay? Netanyahu, maybe he would like to see a two-state solution, but according to his vision. And his vision puts too much restrictions on the Palestinians when it comes to sovereignty and when it comes to grabbing Palestinian land that no Palestinian will accept.
Not a fair deal.
It's not a fair deal. Because, see, when we talk about compromise, okay, the Palestinians, they believe that in 1988, they offered the ultimate compromise.
Right. So what are the top accomplishments of the One Voice movement?
The top accomplishment of One Voice movement is the human infrastructure. So since its inception, almost like 15, 16 years ago, okay, we had trained thousands of both Israeli and Palestinian youth. We trained them to be moderate, pragmatic leaders in their community. And for them to be involved and for them to be able to affect their community in a positive way. That was done in Israel and in Palestine through the Leadership Development Program. We were able to do thousands of town hall meetings in both Israel and Palestine and explaining the complexity of the conflict and what does it involve to have an end to the conflict and a two-state solution. We have been working on college campuses here in the United States and in high schools in England, educating Americans and British about the need to end this conflict. In Israel, they were able to establish a caucus in the Knesset in support of two-state solutions and holding many events in there. On the Palestinian side, we were able to organize many trips for Israelis to visit politicians in Palestine and to meet with the president and to hear that there is a Palestinian partner for peace. Also, we ran tens of programs, people-to-people programs, in which we do joint training between Israelis and Palestinians youth leaders. We did also joint initiatives between Israelis and Palestinians. So we are there. We are working on the ground in Israel and Palestine through our partners, Darcheno and Zimam, and here working in America, engaging students, engaging elected representatives in support of ending this conflict.
And what advice do you have for the community and for elected officials about a compromise?
Compromise when it comes to American politics, or when it comes to Israel-Palestine, or when it comes to compromise
to make the two-state solution happen.
Okay.
For the politicians, they want too much of this side or too much, not enough of that. It's not a fair deal. What that kind of compromise to make it happen?
We look for support from the United States. to end this conflict, because the United States is the only country that have leverage over Israel and over the Palestinians. The United States can make this deal happen, and we are very close to it. Don't disengage from this conflict, because this conflict has ramifications. Yes, this conflict has ramification that doesn't end between Israel and Palestine, but it affects the whole world, because this conflict is a source for radicalizing the Middle East and also radicalizing others in Europe and in America. It's a source of radicalization for the region and also the world, and we need to finish it. Finish it through negotiations, leading to a two-state solution for two proud people, Israel and Palestine.
Thank you very much. This is the D Tycoon Show. I appreciate your viewpoints, and I'm looking forward to attending more of your meetings and learning more about your organization, sharing this show.
Thank you.
And this is D Tycoon, and this is the D Tycoon Show. Thank you very much, and have a good night.